Hey guys, today we're going to be playing with Pat McGrath's brand new Mothership palette. This is Mothership number 10. Can you believe we're at 10? When I saw the X, I was like, no. But here we are. This one is called Moonlit Seduction, and we've got all of the same packaging, the heavy black lacquer, like plastic packaging. Here is a look at the palette on the inside. And again, we have a very similar layout to all of the other Mothership palettes where we have the six, shall we say, straightforward shadows. And then we have the four shadows over here, which I've always called like the special shades or the party shadows or whatever. The only difference is that these are pressed shadow formulas versus a baked formula, which is what she's had in all of her Motherships, except for the one that she collabed with for the Met. That one was all pressed shadows as well. And that one didn't have any mattes or anything. Like they were all kind of like these creamy metallics. I still love that one. Anyway, this one has a nice assortment of different finishes. And here are some swatches of all the shades. And I swatched them the way they appear in the palette. So from left to right at the top, this is Skin Tense Glow, Rosewood Romantic, Platinum Dusk, VR Sextasy, Astral Gold Lust, and then from left to right on the bottom row, we have Extreme Nocturne, Bronze Devotion, Plum Cabaret, Blitz Venus, and Astral Lilac Aura. Now, admittedly, I was a little disappointed that the four special shades were not baked shades. I really, really like baked shades, but these are quite special indeed. As you could tell from the swatches that I just showed you, these are very similar actually in the way that they feel. They're very kind of like flaky. They're a little bit chunky. I feel like you'd have to be a little bit careful using them. I would probably simply use them as like a little bit of a topper. I'd probably use my finger and kind of tap them in. And then these six shades, kind of very familiar Pat McGrath formulas, where this one is probably the most kind of creamy metallic. And then these two are like a really, really kind of like high shine satin. And then we got three mattes here. So overall, I feel like this palette is actually fairly neutral. It was a little bit more neutral than I thought. We see a little bit of warmth in this shade. This is a fairly kind of neutrally, almost cool toned kind of like desaturated cranberry shade. So when I look at this, I think it's pretty different. I mean, we have these two shades, which feels like is in almost every single one of her Mothership palettes. It's either this dark brown or black, but I think that's pretty essential for a big eyeshadow palette. But I think we've been seeing a lot of heavy pinks ever since she went down that Divine Rose road. We've been seeing a lot of pinks, and we don't actually see a lot of pinks in this palette. Maybe this one has a pink feel to it. We don't even see a lot of pinks in the metallics here. So I do feel like this one is actually fairly different now that I have it in my hands. I think when I was seeing promo pics of it, I was a little kind of skeptical because it's kind of hard to tell like the tones of the shades. And the outer box packaging, let me just show you, has like a pink feel to it. So I think I was kind of swayed by the appearance of the outer box packaging, which is so beautiful. I just love these. That it was kind of, I don't know, kind of swayed the way I saw this palette. But now that I'm just looking at this palette by itself, I think it is actually fairly unique, at least the color story. You can, I think, take out each individual shade here and say, I feel like I've seen that. Of course, of course. But in terms of like entire color story, I do feel like this is kind of unique for Pat McGrath. Anyway, enough rambling. I do have all my makeup on except for like lips and eyes. So I'm just going to go ahead and dig right in. I'm not sure where I want to start because all of these mattes are a little bit too deep for me in terms of transition. So I think what I'll do maybe is start with this shade, which is really super high metallic, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to start with my Sonia G Worker 2 brush. And I'm going to go into that shade, which is called, let me get the right name, Platinum Dusk. And I'm going to apply that to the inner corner of my eye. So just one observation I made when I was finger swatching them, the way they felt on my finger, these felt a little bit like harder pressed in the pan, just a little bit. And so I am curious to see if these are going to perform a little bit differently. And so far with this Platinum Dusk, I feel like shades that were very similar to this and looked very similar on the lid, they were almost like creamier. And I'm, sometimes I'm not sure if that's necessarily a better thing. I feel like you don't really have an option in terms of like how thick of a layer of the eyeshadow you get onto your lid. If the shadow is too creamy, like you're just whoop, it's just going to be this like really intense sort of shadow. And because these are a little bit harder pressed, I feel like I'm picking up a little bit less product. I feel like the product is just a teensy bit less creamy. And so it just has like a little bit of a, lighter is not the right word. It's just not as thinner. It's a little bit thinner than her previous super shiny metallics. So I don't know if this is a different formula or this is something that happens when you create like different actual shades. I know different colors can change like the texture of a shadow. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but I do feel like these are a little bit harder pressed and a little bit thinner in terms of like the way they're applying and the way they feel. But that is Platinum Dusk, and I just put that inner corner over to like the mid part of my lid. Next, I'm going to take my Synergy Crease Pro and go into this dark brown matte shade, and the proper name is Extreme Nocturne. Now I just want to use this very, very lightly, just in the corners here, just to, add a little bit of dimension. This is already going to be a little bit of a smokier look than I normally wear on a day-to-day basis, but it's Pat McGrath. It's Pat McGrath, so we're going with it. Ooh. Typical Pat McGrath matte. I do feel like this is blending in quite nicely. So dramatic. All right, and then I'm going to take a pencil brush and go into this light shimmery shade, which is called Skin Tense Glow. And I'm going to pop that, the inner corner here, and just try and lighten it up a little bit, the inside. All right, I feel like I have a lot of eyeshadow on already, but I definitely want to throw on one of these special shades. This one is definitely calling to me. This one is called, sorry, the card is here, Blitz Venus. I think I'll just tap it kind of like in the middle here, just because this shade is, while it's shimmery, it is a little bit deeper. So I am just going to take my ring finger here, and this has such a beautiful light, light, light peachy pink to it. Ooh, ooh, so pretty. So, so pretty. I hope you guys can see that. It's hard sometimes when I'm applying like shiny on top of shiny, but maybe comparing the two, oh, this is like the perfect kind of like warm champagne shade. So beautiful. All right, well, I think that's all I can fit on my lids. Otherwise, I think it's just going to turn into a muddy mess, but I think that's a good kind of demo of many of the different finishes. So we did the matte, we did this like shiny satin, we did this super metallic shade, and then we did one of these special shades. I really love, I love this particular look that I did. I think this one shade is like a dream shade of mine, like a really highly metallic taupe. I think it makes a great one and done. Like I pretty much put it all over my lid. It was really, really pretty. And the matte really blended out beautifully. This really deep shade, that blended out beautifully. Yeah, I'm really, really loving this. I mean, in true Pat McGrath fashion, I don't think you're going to get like a very, I don't know, work appropriate kind of like everyday daytime kind of look, but this is Pat McGrath. I don't think we necessarily expect that from her, and I'm a pretty basic person when it comes to eyeshadows, and I really love this. Wow, I have to say my first impressions after using this, actually using it for the first time, not just seeing it, I like it a lot more than I thought I would. It's very, very usable. I think for someone with my skin tone, I think possibly like I could have used like a lighter matte, but I have plenty of those. I think this is just a really gorgeous array of different shades, and I love this look that I came out with. I really, really do. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my look and I'll be right back. All right, makeup is done. I just added some mascara, some eyeliner. I'm actually using the Lancome Juicy Tubes in Marshmallow Electro because this actually reminds me of a lot of Pat McGrath lip glosses that have been discontinued. And then I have the Wayne Goss lip liner in light nude, just kind of around my lips. Anyway, I'll list everything that I have on my face down below in my description box if you are interested. But as I was finishing up my look, I think what I realized and what I love about this palette so much is that it's the experience that I've had with it, from finding out it was being released and actually using it. I was not that excited about it when I saw pictures of this. I was like, okay, it looks fine. And all of her other palettes, I feel like when I've seen pictures of it, I'm like, ooh, like, wow, that looks so, so pretty. And when I use them, I like them. Sometimes they live up to the expectation, sometimes not. I feel like pink is a color that is very pretty to look at, but sometimes as eyeshadow doesn't always work, or at least too much pink doesn't always work, at least not for me, not for my skin tone. But after using this one, I love it like so much more than like the first reaction I had to seeing it. So it's kind of like opposite from all of the other Pat McGrath palettes that I have. Her Mothership 1 palette, the very first one, well, she came out with 3 to start, but Mothership 1 is still my absolute favorite. I just think those colors in there, those shades in there are just really, really easy to use, very, very everyday. It definitely is the one that I reach for the most. This one could come in as a second, a close second. I do still really love Bronze Seduction, but anyway, I'm kind of going down a different path here. And if you guys are interested in maybe doing like a Pat McGrath Mothership palette ranking video, let me know down below in the comment section, because now that we're up to 10, that's quite a few. That is quite a few palettes to talk about. And I think I did rank these maybe last year or a couple years ago. But anyway, let me know down below in the comment section if you'd be interested in that. But here is my final look using Moonlit Seduction. I love it. I love it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear whether you picked this up or not. And subscribe down below if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video.